Welcome to our first episode of Verse by Verse. I'm Edward, your host. Today, we're tackling a classical tension in Scripture. How did Judas Iscariot die? Matthew tells us he hanged himself. Acts tells us he fell and met a violent end. Did he return the 30 pieces of silver, or did he buy a field? At first glance, these accounts seem hard to reconcile. Some critics even claim there's a contradiction. But the church has long offered a careful explanation, and today we're going to explore it. Our goal is to show that a difference in description doesn't automatically entail a contradiction. Now, let's start by reading the passages. Matthew 27, 3-7. When Judas, his betrayer, saw that Jesus was condemned, he repented and brought back the 30 pieces of silver to the chief priests and elders. I have sinned by betraying innocent blood, he said. But they said, what is that to us? See to it yourself. Throwing down the pieces of silver in the temple, he departed, and he went and hanged himself. The chief priests, taking the pieces of silver, said it is not lawful to put them into the treasury, since they are blood money. After conferring together, they used them to buy the potter's field as a place to bury foreigners. Now let's turn to Acts 1:18. Now this man acquired a field with the reward of his wickedness, and falling headlong, he burst open in the middle, and all his bowels gushed out. This became known to all the residents of Jerusalem, so that the field was called, in their language, Hakeldama, that is, field of blood. The apparent problem. So did Judas hang himself, or did he fall? Did he buy the field, or did the priests? Leo Haydock, a classic Catholic commentator, helps clarify Acts 1:18. Possessed a field. Judas is here said to have done what was done by others with the 30 pieces of money, the reward of his iniquity, and being hanged, that is, as St. Matthew says, having hanged himself, he burst asunder. The Greek has it, falling headlong, as perhaps he did, by the judgment of God, from the place or the tree where he hanged. Here's the important distinction. Cause and effect helps us see where Haydock is coming from. The cause is the action that brings about change, the effect is the result. Matthew gives us the cause, Judas's despair and hanging. Acts emphasizes the effect, the public and gruesome consequence. Scripture often speaks metonymically, referring to the body as if it were the person. For example, 1 Kings 2:10 says, David slept with his ancestors and was buried in the city of David. Matthew focuses on Judas's moral act, while Luke describes the aftermath. Hanging and falling are not contradictory. They can describe the same event from two different angles. So what happened? Well, on the one hand, Matthew is saying that Judas hanged himself. That was the cause of death. The effect of death was Judas falling and then getting blood all over the field. Who bought the field? Now, what about the field? Did Judas buy it, or did the priest? We can distinguish between proximate and immediate causes. Judas furnished the silver, proximate cause. The priest purchased the field, immediate cause. It's like saying, my brother drove his wife into the arms of another man. His actions made this situation possible, but her choice was eminent. Both descriptions are true, just at different levels of causality. Haydock explains that Judas did not possess the field, but furnished the price to pay it, and this common language captures consequences of our actions even when unintended. Now, why the field of blood? Was it called the field of blood because of Judas's suicide, or because foreigners were buried there? The answer? Both. This is a classic case of overdetermination, where multiple causes separately bring about a single effect. Imagine a woodpecker pecking a red piece of wood. It could be pecking because it's wooden, or because it's red, assuming I trained it to peck everything that is red. Either reason alone would be sufficient to explain why it pecked that piece of wood. So, in conclusion, how did Judas die? By his own tragic choice in a sequence of events described differently by two inspired authors. Matthew emphasizes his despair and moral responsibility in committing suicide. Luke emphasizes the aftermath and its consequences for the community in what happened to the body. Different emphases, same sad reality. There is no contradiction, just careful reading in light of scripture and tradition. Thank you for listening to Leonine Apologetics. If you found this analysis helpful, consider subscribing. Join us as we continue to examine Scripture, verse by verse, with reason, clarity, and fidelity to the Catholic tradition. If you would like to see more videos like this in the future, consider tipping into my Ko-fi account, either one time or reoccurring. Thank you and God bless.